Coach, last year in this matchup, y'all came out hot, and then it was either side of halftime that South Carolina was able to take over the game. What have you kind of learned from that, and what are you seeing in this matchup going into this week?
Well, I can see how you're phrasing that question. It's a new team. So I'm not going to take much from last year. My energy and focus with my team is what happened last game. Again, we've talked about this, is that 50-40-10 mindset. We haven't had a chance to meet yet, just so you guys know timeline. We had our game. We were off. And so obviously we'll have film, before practice. And we're obviously having this press conference before I meet with my team. But again, we can't lose sight of teaching right now, all right? Where we're at in the season. We're playing a lot of young kids. We have a lot of new kids. We're in games that we have opportunities to win, but at the end of the day, we keep talking about this when you go back in all our press conferences, this carryover. I thought Tennessee, we were phenomenal in transition defense. Missouri, we weren't, and it got you. I thought the 40% we talk about, you were phenomenal in Tennessee with following a scouting report and knowing personnel. Missouri, you were not. And those are the things that is frustrating. It is because everybody wants to win, but we got to do what it takes to win. And so that's my job as the head coach, is not losing my responsibility to make sure days like today, Tuesday, that we teach, that we work, that we get better, that you don't lose sight of the big picture. Wednesday has to be an unbelievable prep for South Carolina. Thursday needs to be a great shoot-around. And then, again, it's just going to be a Final Four opponent that is going to be an absolute dogfight. So that's the phrase and the messaging that I'm going to have for my young women right now.
Situation like this, how do you get your team to just play South Carolina and not play the logo, or maybe that's not really a thing?
Well, sorry, I didn't hear the very beginning.
How do you get your team to just play South Carolina and not really play the logo or the program, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think you hit the elephant in the face. You talk about it at the beginning. You talk about who we are. First of all, you address what happened last game, because the same team that just played Missouri just played Tennessee, and that's the highs and lows of the SEC. And again, who do we want to be? Who do we want to look like when we get done playing South Carolina for 4 quarters, right? What's the vision? Where are we good at? And let's focus on those positives, and what are getting us in trouble that we don't have those moments despite who we're playing. Right? Play Mississippi State basketball, because we've talked about it this year. We've had some unbelievable, great ranked wins, 3, top 15 wins. And then obviously there have some moments like, what are you doing? And that's that consistency that we've got to fight, that you fight for every single day. And that's what we're going to address today in practice.
A couple of things. First, address Madison receiving that SEC honor today.
Yeah, it's just awesome. Again, I couldn't be more happy with her and Jayla with how well they've been playing as freshmen, right? Hope both of those kids deserve to be on the all-SEC freshman team this year. I'm starting that now, and we're going to put out stuff that's coming out. But for Madison, again, you're talking about a young lady with her shoulders been wrapped up. She's a broken nose. She's relentless. And, again, her DNA is different from everybody else. Most kids would already tapped out or sit out. She's diving on the floor. She's relentless around the rim, contesting every shot. She rebounds it like no other. But, again, what I love about her is still her best basketball is ahead of her. And it's just to see cool the narratives that sometimes are out there that if you go to a certain school, you can't win awards. Well, now we've got 2 kids here that are freshmen that have been named SEC Freshman of the Week, and it's been really cool for their hard work, but most importantly, what great teammates they are.
And going back to what you said about teaching, is that just how the game has changed, whether it's transfer portal, freshmen, that you're into February and you're still in the teaching phase, whereas previous years, you probably have things more established by teams at this point?
Yeah, and what I mean by teaching is, and again, this is the credit to this league. This league's hard, man, night in and night out. And it's not about excuses. You got some of the brightest coaches. We all have different styles. So within those styles of play, there's teaching involved in it for what you're trying to do to beat your opponent. Like for South Carolina, we're about to play an opponent who is as physical as anybody inside the paint. It doesn't get any bigger or stronger than South Carolina. They are the bar. So for us is, again, understanding what it's going to take to win paint points and relentless effort, gang rebounding, because there is a height advantage they clearly have. But can we box out from the perimeter and come in where those are just things that it's not that we're not teaching, but you have to emphasize if you want to try to win one game at a time in the SEC. And so those are the points that I'm trying to help bring up with my young women. Missouri was at times 5 out. They had some circle cuts where some things happened that we haven't played nobody like that since probably Davidson, first game of the year. So again, just refreshing them on things that guide us and then where we got to get better. So good teams, what they're going to do is, if you're a smart coach, is you watch what other people do and you try to do it later. So you got to be prepared to react and change in those moments, and that's the teaching part that I'm alluding to.
She obviously doesn't get as many minutes as the other freshmen, but how do you feel like Natalia's development in practice and stuff like that?
Oh my gosh, she's unbelievable, and thank you for asking that question. Her time's coming. Again, what I appreciate about her, and I speak for all her teammates, is the one voice that is constant within our bench is hers. She's talking. If you watch her body language on the bench, she's cheering. She's demanding out of everything. And then her journey's just looking different right now. It's still practice where she's got to get it on the defensive end. Offensively, she can score as good as anybody on our team, and we've had those conversations. But she knows she has to turn into a better defensive player. And then what's this team need, right? There's roles, there's things that have been involved. So can you adapt to complement the pieces that we have out there? Because, again, you're talking about a team that's probably had 4 games here with 5 minutes to go. We've talked about this, the 10% that the dogfight that we're right there. And so that's why I'm challenging not just her, but everybody on my team helping me with those other pieces that are costing us games.
You mentioned the physicality, and obviously South Carolina is always focused on the post play, but it seems like you've got a group of players that are really versatile, that they can pull it from mid-range instead of drive, and they can kind of attack in different ways.
Yeah.
What have you seen from them, especially Madison and Favor, who've been working on that mid-range shot?
Yeah, no, like I told Favor, me and Favor talked yesterday. I thought she had 2 wide open shots that were great, and I said, do not put your head down. Do not, because I watch you work on those every single day. And her goals are obviously to be a pro, and that's what you got to do. You got to be able to stretch the floor. You got to knock those down. And I always judge it by when you shoot it, not fading away. And that's where I'm proud of the moments. You talk about player development and stuff that she, especially if you're going to ice ball screens, that we make those right plays. And I thought she just didn't go in. And then Madison, you saw her growth. We were very honest with her before the game that you were one of the elite players getting to the rim, but they're going to play 5 feet off of you and they're going to bait you to make shots. And for her to go 3 for 6 is a testimony for how hard she's been working before and after practice, getting up shots. And then the other one for me in the game for her was a high on-ball screen. And they blitzed in and collapsed the paint, and she shot a beautiful 15-foot pull-up. It just didn't go in. So that's where I'm excited from a player development. Is player development sometimes it's not necessarily finishing the product or making the shot. It's taking the right shot, and it's only a matter of time before those shots go in.
And kind of adding to that, Carissa, she's really come alive lately in SEC play, and she said that the SEC is what is what she's really been most excited about. What have you seen from her change over the last couple of months to become an important player for you?
Yeah, just first of all, her toughness. She understands and competing what it takes, possession every night. But this last game, what I was proud about her is if you look at her stats, she's had, 3 20-point games in the SEC because just of relentless dog mentality. But I challenged her, too, to pass the ball. We actually had, in the last 2 practices, I said, you're going to play the entire practice, and you're going to work on passing. You're going to drive, kick, and I thought she gave us some great looks, like Trey. Trey had, 6 threes that last game, and a lot of those were coming from Rich. So her player development, too, being a well-rounded player where it's not if I just catch the ball, I'm scoring, but I also can make plays for my other teammates, was really cool to see in her growth. And just like the other 2 that you mentioned, I still think her best basketball is ahead of her.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate y'all.